Today we're obviously here to discuss the murder of Janessa Shannon. But first, on behalf of Sheriff G and the men and the women at the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, we'd like to express our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Janessa. We know this is a horrific time for them. They're devastated, and our hearts go out to them. Our primary function now at this time is to find Janessa's killer, and we are working on that and have been diligently for the last several days. Janessa was last seen July 1st at 10 p.m. at her father's residence on Cocoa Beach Drive. She wasn't reported missing to us until 2 days later on July 3rd at approximately 1 p.m. At the time her father contacted us, he had reported that she has run away in the past and that she was currently being punished from sneaking out of her mother's residence in the past few days. There were some questions as to why an Amber Alert wasn't initiated on this. There's some strict criteria that are involved in Amber Alert, to include the fact that there has to be some indication of an abduction. We have and have still had at this time no indication that that was the case. Additionally, there must be a suspect vehicle description. Again, we did not have that. So there was no way for us to issue an Amber Alert on the information we had at the time. Again, she wasn't considered what we would consider an endangered juvenile due to the fact that both parents have said she had run away previously. There were some discipline issues ongoing with her sneaking out. We also take each case into consideration to see if there's any mental health issues, if the subjects are on medication, or if they've made ever any suicidal threats. And we had nothing to indicate that at this point. However, that did not stop us from working our runaway investigation. We take each case seriously. I've personally met with the investigators and reviewed the reports, and we have done what was required of us. It's a unique situation. Janessa was staying with her father here in Hillsborough County, but she lived with her mother in Bradenton as well and would go there and visit. So conducting interviews with family members and friends, we coordinated with Bradenton Police Department and the Manatee County Sheriff's Office to go to locations where she was known to have been in the past, where various friends were of hers, to see if she was at those locations. Unfortunately, we were not successful and were unable to locate her through that. She was immediately entered into NCIC, FCIC, so that in the event she came into contact with law enforcement, they would know that she was listed as a runaway. We've responded to a number of alleged sightings where she was supposedly seen, and through our agency and Manatee County, we're not able to confirm any of those. We've also, as we do in cases like this, issued subpoenas for her social media sites to see who she's talking to, coming in contact with, to see if we can get any further information. Unfortunately, none of those steps led us to her location. But we've never stopped looking for Janessa, and that's what needs to be important here. We've continued to work this case. On July 12th, remains were discovered in the Triple Creek Preserve. At the time, due to the condition of the body, we were unable to identify the subject at that time. However, due to the circumstances of where the body was located, we began treating that as a homicide immediately. Over several days after conferring with the medical examiner's office, we were able to identify the body of that to be Janessa. And then we had to make the proper family notifications. And this was a little complicated in the fact that Mr. Shannon left town and went out of state. We needed to fly our detectives up to locate and talk to him so that we could notify him and follow up with an interview. And we needed to coordinate that with the mother of it, Janessa. So that took us through Saturday. That took us some time to organize that. And we did not release that information prior, no offense to the media, but we wanted to make sure that the families heard it from us as the investigators. Again, this case is extremely tragic and devastating to the family. We are not going to be releasing much information. We're asking for the public's help in if they've spoken or seen Janessa at a certain point, or if anybody had been in the Triple Creek Preserve several weeks up to this incident. and if they saw anything suspicious, to please contact the sheriff's office or Crime Stoppers. We need to be deliberate and methodical in our investigation, because what's most important to us is identifying this killer and putting him behind bars. Again, we are working this case actively around the clock for once since she was reported missing, and then certainly as a homicide. It's taken another step due to the tragic results. And again, we'll take a couple minutes for questions.
Amanda Shivari, News Channel 8. Is the father in this case a person of interest? You said he left town, is out of state right now. It's unusual.
It's unusual for, I would think, if a child is missing, but he was out of town for work. Initially, he was cooperative with our investigation and provided an interview. When we asked consent to search his residence where she was last seen, he did not allow us to do that. We obtained a search warrant. He has since invoked and wants to consult with an attorney, so we are no longer able to reach out to him.
Can you call him a person of interest at this time?
We are not focusing on any one person right now. We're maintaining, Janessa was on social media and talking to different people and had a number of friends, so we want to make sure we are talking to everybody that could possibly be involved. But we are not going to exclude anybody at this point.
Is there a cause of death yet?
Again, that's a detail we're not going to release because only the killer would know that information, and we don't want to tip our hand on that at this point.
Michael Manley with Maine News. This was originally a runaway case. When does a case like this rise above runaway status?
Well, unfortunately, and it may shock some, we just year to date, we have had over 500 juveniles reported as missing. We have to look at each case and determine if there's those other factors I mentioned, mental health issues, medication, suicidal tendencies, if they've never gone missing before. So we take all those into consideration, and we do have a status that is endangered if we believe that to be the case or if there was something suspicious. But at the time, both parents had said she had run away previously. There was concern, obviously, because she did not come back. But we still treat those cases seriously and take active steps in those investigations.
We understand why no Amber Alert was issued. We know about the certain specific criteria, but why no alert or endangered status from HCSO? Why not send out an alert so the public could have helped look for her prior to, like right around when she needs them?
Right, and she didn't meet our endangered status, the criteria we consider. We knew the family had reached out to the media and put it out. If in the reality, if you think about it, like I said, year to date, we have over 500 runaway juveniles. If we gave you 5 alerts a day, I just wonder, would they really get publicized? We choose to try to put the ones where we really feel there's endangered or something that the public can help with. But our fear is that if we send the media 5 alerts a day, it will overwhelm and it will lose its value to you. But we certainly still treat the case seriously and actively follow up on it.
To get a court-authorized search warrant for the dad's house, obviously you have to reach a certain bar to have some probable cause to search his house. Is it just that he was the last person and he lived there and his not wanting to talk to you enough to get a judge to sign off, or was there something else?
There are a number of factors, and again, we're not going to release those specific details, but obviously for a judge to sign that, we did have a certain level of probable cause to get that warrant.
So if she went missing on July 1st, what was the explanation for waiting until July 3rd to report the trip?
I can't speak for the father other than she had run away in the past and had not returned, but that's something we consider as well.
Okay, we were told authorities were working the search for what exactly did working the search entail? Canines, ground search, social media, etc.?
Again, as I said earlier, we coordinated, we interviewed family and friends. We had different police departments and our investigators go to certain residents where we knew she had been in the past, friends she had associated with. We did do subpoenas for her social media accounts and monitored those, and there was nothing that provided us any leads, as well as, again, put out alerts to all the law enforcement agencies across the country so that if they did come into contact with her, they would know and they would put their hands on and contact us so we could get her back to her family.
Can you tell us when her last social media post was?
I don't have that specific information with me right this second.
Can you provide any more information about when Janessa was found, the circumstances, and were there, a campsite around her remains?
Again, we want to keep some of that limited because, again, only the person who killed her knows some of these details. But it was a preserve. There was there's walking trails through an extremely densely wooded area.
Is there any indication that she would have been out and about? I know that you guys are putting out a plea to the public to, provide any information of her circumstances in this time. I guess, what would you want people out there to know? What should they, what should they be calling about?
If they've seen her since certainly July 1st, if they've heard through other people what may have happened to her, if anybody was in that preserve and saw vehicles or people there that were unusual during several weeks preceding to July 12th, we're asking for anything at this point. We don't want to exclude any details. If anybody thinks it's of any value, again, call the Sheriff's Office and/or Crime Stoppers. All right, everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.